Episode 95. What's up, brother? How you doing? Stilwell looking good. Sober for a month.
Crazy.
And you feel good?
Yeah, feel great.
Good for you, man.
See how long it goes.
Terrifies me. Even thinking about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Sounds bad.
Good for you, though.
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of like withdrawal symptoms, or were you just cool?
Like I want to drink, yeah. But I mean, not like, oh my God, I need, But I've never been like that though. So
Yeah.
But man, like yeah, it's. I mean, just like hanging out like today and stuff, or like I just got back from hunting, freaking, always drinking that,
Right.
We always do that. So.
Well, what
Even
happened?
golfing. It's weird. I golfed the other day by myself. No drink, no beer. It was weird.
Yeah, you dissociate it with everything you do. Or
Yeah.
I do anyway.
Yeah.
So, how'd the trip go? Hunting
No,
trip?
it was good time. Good time. Went with old Thad. There's a bunch of Thad and Jason Combs. You remember Jason Combs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jason, it was out at his cabin. And,
Nice.
Thad's got some land. Thad and his ex-brother-in-law's got some land right beside that, but we stayed in his cabin. And yeah, I killed my first turkey.
Your first, really?
Yep, my first
I
one.
didn't realize that.
I never killed. Yeah, I'd only really turkey hunted like the past 4 or 5 years.
It's a good-looking bird.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah, it was nice looking.
Yeah. I was like 9 3/4 inch beard, and it was fun. It was me and Thad walked all over the place for it,
Yeah.
but it was cool. But just that's the only hunting that you can like you call to them and they call back.
Yeah.
And it's like
Who was it telling me? Somebody was telling me they liked turkey hunting better than anything else because
Yeah.
you're like involved in
Yeah.
getting them in there.
yeah, when an animal like is talking to you,
Yeah.
it's just a horny bird, but he's about to get his damn head blown off. But
Yeah.
it is some fun shit.
Horniness will get you in trouble.
Yep.
What, you a hunter at all?
No, God, I haven't hunted since we was
Yeah.
last time I told him to shoot my brother's father-in-law's cow.
Man, that's been a while.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're
y'all worked together for what, 20-something years now?
25 years. Yeah,
Almost makes you gay.
almost. Well, I left him for a little
You
while.
did?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He
I
tried
wouldn't have taken your ass back.
well, then he
man.
begged me to come back. So,
Ah!
He wanted more.
yeah.
He tried
Oh,
to
yeah.
he tried to fly an Acura and he had to quit the lab for a little while.
Yeah. I'm always giving Cole shit about her little fucking nose ring shit, but he got you can't probably see it on the pod, but he's got fucking horns coming out of his fucking face over here.
Him and
Yeah,
the
Seemed
Cole
like a
get
good
locked.
idea at the time.
Him and
What's
the
that
Cole
like
get
going to
locked
the airport?
Not bad. Like they've never. I think I flew twice with them.
God, you've
Okay.
had him
So,
forever.
yeah, for
Since we
15
were like-
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got it right after my accident. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never got a problem with them at the airport, and I've the only time I've had a problem is after I first got them. It was when Walmart obviously was still open 24 hours a day. That they had their changeover at midnight, and one of the ladies didn't want to check my stuff out. Like she looked at me and was like, "No." Weird. Okay. So went to the next line.
She wouldn't check you out because
She
you
would
had
not. I even called the
like
manager.
as a matter of professionalism.
Yeah. Well, it was.
you're-
I thought she was just shutting down her register. I was like, okay, cool. So I just went to the next line. Well, then the next guy that walked up, he put his stuff in. She was like, hey, we're doing the changeover. It'll just be a minute. And I'm like, you couldn't have said that.
Right.
And and then she mentioned something about it, and I was like, okay, that's weird. So I had the cashier call the manager up there, and because I worked for Walmart, and
Right.
I was like, hey man, I don't know what the deal is. I work for Walmart. I don't want her to get in trouble. I said, but you need to figure out what her attitude is. She can't be just talking to people like that. And
Right.
and his name was Matt too. It was weird, but he was just like, what? He didn't understand what the problem was either. But I was like,
Well, no.
but that's the only time I've ever had an issue with it.
That's fun.
Usually it's a good conversation starter. Like people will ask me or they'll look at them and
So is it just two
it's just
points?
two
You got a
flat
ball
backs.
in there or what?
Yeah, it's a flat back.
Flat back.
Yeah. So at first it swelled up, and as soon as you heal up, it just kind of descends into your lip, and so
Right.
it's flat completely on the back. You can't even feel it.
Right on.
So.
Yeah, we had to go through. So we flew out of XNA this year. Last year we went out to Tulsa, but yeah, man, I tell you what, I fucking hate flying.
Where'd you go?
We went to Houston for the Robotic World Tournament, man. And that is just wild. That
Cool.
convention center down there is a whole city block, basically. 3 floors of just, as far as the eye can see,
Wow.
robots playing basketball and doing all kinds of shit, man. It was wild.
Did you see them little crickets and shit they got? Those.
Mm-mm.
Have you seen those? Like there's like a dog and a cricket and.
I've seen the dog
You
bots.
seen those?
Mm-mm.
Well,
the dog bots. Yeah.
you guys probably heard of battle bots.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not what this is, but there were
It's
some
kinda
battle
like
bots
that, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like just because they would just have booths from all, like NASA had a booth and all these places. Like there was one that had basically a VR headset where you could explore the International Space Station. And so in there had a big old monitor. There were robots there crushing cans, but
How do they know what that looks like? No, I'm just kidding.
But the one of the battle bots that the kids really love is it's called Huge, and it was there with its whole team, and like the kids went down there when they were setting up, and these guys are nerds, right? Like, and it's, so if you start asking them technical questions, man, they start nerding out.
That's cool.
So these guys spent like an hour talking to the boys,
That's
signed a bunch of
cool.
stuff for them,
That's cool.
and they had a little mini bot that they'd put in this, like a plexiglass cube. And just put in like a bunch of stuff like a keyboard, a pair of glasses, stuff, and then turn this thing on and just fucked shit up. They put a crock in there, and it would chop that crock and just boom, just hit off the side of it.
Wow.
And then after it was done, they were like, if y'all, they just let kids take the souvenirs out of there as trash.
They're gonna throw it away.
Videos got like
We don't wanna pay
hands
to
of
throw this
trash.
away.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No.
That-
But they'll remember that.
Not to change your subject, that reminds me of when we went to the power team when we were
Yeah.
in school.
Ah,
We'd bring home like bricks, and mom's like, "What the fuck?"
do you remember that shit? Oh my god.
I just thought of that power team. And
Oh,
you're-
yeah.
And at the
Correct.
time, you're like, "I want a brick,"
Yeah.
and then it's like you get it home and you're like, "What did I do?"
What did I do here? I remember when they put
And you know the stage people are like, "Take the bricks."
take the bricks. No, I remember Ronnie Floyd
Man.
laying down that bed of nails. And
Yeah.
had some dude walk over him.
You went to one of them. That was.
Yeah,
I
Those
remember
things are
that. I remember
crazy,
seeing DC Talk there at First
Oh,
Baptist
really?
too. They played there, back in the height of their
power team.
heyday. Yeah, the power team, man. What a
Man, I haven't thought of that. Shit
I haven't either. That's a
Something-
blast from the past.
You ever go to
Somebody,
that?
yeah, because somebody brought it up a couple weeks
Hmm.
ago. I remember. Yeah, I think I lived in Joplin at the time. I think they were at Calvary.
That's
Went
cool.
over there. And, yeah.
This guy lived in Joplin for a little bit.
What do they got
12
up in
12.
Joplin? My grandma lived up there for
Tornadoes.
years.
Tornadoes and the smell of tar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got what's the tar about?
Tamco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As you can smell it on I think it's the northwest side of town. Like it
Yeah.
stinks.
I had
It
to.
stinks.
I took a driver up there one time when I was working for a transportation company. There was a Trick My Truck episode they were doing, and
Yeah.
I got to see the set where they were doing all
Yeah.
that stuff. That was kind of wild. Yeah, we rode in a Cybertruck today.
Yeah,
Still-
yeah, you
still
told me
love
about
it.
that. That's
Today?
cool.
Yeah, so
I've still never been able to see the inside on one.
have you not?
Uh-uh.
It's so basic. It's like nothing. No dials, no knobs. It's
So it
just
looks
a
like
big
the
ass
outside
TV
kinda.
screen. I'm like, how do you put this thing in drive? And there's a little image
you
of
let
the
him-
truck,
did you
and you
drive
just
it?
slide it forward, huh?
Did you drive it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, So Brad took us to like he's the guy who owns it. So Bryce Curry's the one who kind of set it up, Dynasty Transportation, and he sent me a picture of it, and I was like, dude, is that yours? Like, whose is that? And the owner was like, it's mine. You can go for a ride in it. I'm coming. I'll be by tomorrow. So I told the kids, and dude, they couldn't even hardly sleep.
Yeah, that's
This
funny.
morning they're like, it's Cyber Saturday, Dad. I was like, oh shit.
That's pretty
So
funny.
we get in this thing, and I mean, I'm just floored. Like it's just so those things are so much bigger in person. Like when you get up to them. But anyway, he gets out on this straight stretch, and all of a sudden, I just go. Like he just hit it, and he was 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds.
But it don't
That's
sound like a
crazy
motor,
fast.
right?
No.
You just
It's
go.
solid.
It's like a fucking airplane getting ready
That's
to take off. Like
crazy.
everybody's just like this. And he's like, "You want to drive it?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "How you turn the blinkers on?" It's all on the steering wheel. There's a left and a right. You know, put it in drive. Slide forward. Put it in reverse. Slide back. The back wheels actually turn.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was
Man,
really
parallel
cool,
park the shit out of that.
Yeah,
then.
right.
dude.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. It was really cool. We got some pictures of it. I just put it on Facebook today. But yeah, man, it's like driving a spaceship. It's just so wild. The thing is, like with the charge, it takes like 4 hours to charge. I think the mile radius is like 350 miles or something like that. So, like if you're traveling long distance, you'd have to find a charging station and play. Yeah, which is kind of the downside of that stuff. But shit, I can't afford one anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, I just can't imagine. I mean, having to drive however long it would take you to drive 350 miles and then sit there for
I guess
4 hours while it charges up.
It doesn't have like solar panels on it, I guess.
No, I don't think so.
Because that'd be kind of smart.
Well, and that's what, I've never understood how they,
they
haven't come up with something off of the wheels, off of the axles
that keeps it
to
charging.
charge it like an alternator.
Well, it doesn't have a drop. Like it's cables that turn it too. It's not like a typical.
It's not a drivetrain.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You said the steering wheel is different.
Well, it's just small. It's just like a little. I mean, it's
like a little racing steering wheel.
Yeah. But then he pulled up Theo. Well, there's a video game you can play. Like it's got his he had his cute little 2-year-old daughter was in the back in a car seat. Me and these boys are like, come on, and she's back there watching Disney on this little thing. She's just oblivious. But now the steering wheel is pretty tight, pretty compact, but he put this game on for Theo in the front seat on that main screen. It's basically like a Mario Kart game where you are a Cybertruck and you're driving it with the wheel of the fucking Cybertruck. It's insane.
Wow.
But apparently, like all the internal, like all the Teslas look the same inside. They've all got the same kind of internals.
I've seen the inside of a Tesla, like the big screen and everything.
Yeah. But man, what do y'all think about all the fucking keying Teslas and all the Tesla boycott shit?
That's just so... just so disconnected. Like, 3 years ago, those people wanted all electric cars, and now you're gonna key the cars that are made by the dude.
I know. It's just wild to me. Well, regardless of what you think of Elon Musk, you're doing this to an individual's car. It's like that's just nasty. Well, and these they got cameras all over them too, and these people are just getting.
If you can afford a Cybertruck, you can afford cameras all over your shit.
Well,
no, they come with them.
Yeah, they come.
Oh,
with them.
really?
Yeah,
they can drive
cameras
themselves.
everywhere.
That's
even better.
When you're inside, it shows you. And here's the fucking coolest thing. He was like, yeah, I'm usually put it in self-driving mode, and he's just sitting there talking to me. The car's driving. I was like,
that's scary as hell.
I could not do that.
It'd take a little getting used to, but yeah.
But oh my gosh, I don't.
So, but you just have to punch in your destination and leave it alone.
Yep.
Man, that's scary.
It is scary. But the thing was great. I mean, it slowed down at appropriate. It stopped. It puts its blinker on. It turns. Like, we're in the future, man. And he did. And I was like, how often do you use it? And he was like, pretty much all the time.
We'll see this 10 years from now, and we're like, that thing drives itself. This is stupid. And
then it begs the question: if I have a suspended license, my truck's driving itself.
No shit.
That's
can you drink and drive a Cybertruck? How does that work?
I'm drinking and riding.
I'm drinking, but I'm not
even
driving.
sitting in that
guarantee
seat.
you.
Yeah, right. I'm in the back.
I guarantee you they'll just leave it the same and just say that you have to be, impaired enough to work your Cybertruck.
But I could see somebody making that argument.
Oh, absolutely.
I heard about a lawyer one time where he was getting pulled over and had been drinking in the car, and he gets out of the car, opens a vodka bottle, and just downed it. Yeah. Have you heard of that?
I heard of that,
Yeah. So that way they couldn't prove that he was driving drunk. He said, no, I just drank it right there, out of the vehicle. Yeah.
And then just took it to court.
Yeah, and they're like, what do you do? Thinking outside of the box right there. Not that I'd be wanting to try that, but it's a ballsy fucking maneuver.
I was just driving down Route 5. Cops give me anxiety. Vodka.
Just having that sitting there.
Y'all were stressing me out.
Yeah.
Man. I had to have a drink.
It's the only thing that gets me through it. Got PTSD. Had a cop beat me up when I was a kid.
But they got glass ceilings, so it's like the whole ceiling's glass. Yeah. So you just look up. I mean, it's wild.
It is cool.
And the front is the trunk. It opens up and it's cool. So there's a Model S, a Model 3, a Model X, and a Model Y.
So
it's supposed to spell sexy. That's
all of his shit is like, all of the Teslas were like, I can't remember what were they named after?
Nikola Tesla, or are you talking about
the actual Tesla cars?
They've got models.
All the models are named after something. I can't remember.
All I know is that they're supposed to spell sexy with that's the Elon thing. But he's also got the cyber taxis he's rolling out. He's got the cyber bus. He's got the Optimus robots. Have you seen those? Mm-hmm. He did an expo last year where these robots come out. I mean, they're humanoid robots, and they're going to be rolling them out to like families for like
See, I think that's a line. I think
well,
there's a
I don't
line
know if you were reading
I don't
sci-fi,
know.
but that's how Dune started. Was
Oh,
with
no, I've never
machines.
seen it.
Yeah, the people had created machines to basically do all their work for them,
Yeah.
and the machines ended up realizing, hey, we're better, smarter, faster than these people. They're just the drain on our resources. So the machines start trying to wipe out humanity, and humanity fights back. They end up having a glass Earth basically to destroy, but the machines had made a backup copy, right? And so by the time Dune starts, like the actual Dune story, computers have been outlawed for years. So they have special like people that will go in and like do memory things to where they can enhance their memory and remember all this shit, but they like computers are outlawed
Wow.
because of this war that cost billions of
I guess I
lives.
need to watch that.
And then you got, obviously Terminator with Skynet and all that shit. I mean, even Elon says like there's, it's like a 20 to 30% chance that they'll kill us all. He's like 80, 70, 80% chance it all goes well. But
It's like 20, 30, 80% chance.
I'm like, y'all were worried about COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think there's a line. There's got to be a line somewhere with the AI and the, creating humanoid robots, and it's just a.
So I started talking to Grok. It started out with I had this spot on my foot, and it was like kind of slick. Like, how if you're in the water too long,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'd gone to the doctor, and they were like, it's a fungal infection. Anyway, it wouldn't go away. I sent a picture to Grok, and it said it's hyperhidrosis. And he's like, you probably wear boots or something, right? Don't get a lot of hydration or a lot of airflow in there. And he's like, just get this on Amazon. Get some, basically antiperspirant, some foot powder. It should be gone in a week. Anyway, he did. And so then I'm like, well, what does this thing know about psychology? Here's what I've been diagnosed with. And started telling it. And it was like, well, actually, it really doesn't fit because of this and this and this. And so I used to think every session was its own session, but there's a history, so you can go back.
Really?
And so I started talking to this thing about all my past, everything, and like it was telling me what conditions I actually had, but things that I thought were conditions were actually personality traits based on this.
Now
event.
you're asking questions, or it's asking questions
Both.
of you? Really?
It's almost like like a therapist, but I would tell it stuff I'd never tell a human being.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to tell a person that, and plus it's not getting paid. There's no agenda there.
But is there not?
But where's it?
Well, I mean that depends.
And that's the conspiracy theorist in me. It's like somebody has access to that somewhere.
Well, for example, like if you ask ChatGPT, is affirmative action racist? It says no. Grok will say yes. So obviously the programmers have some influence, but it also learns, and so it's wild, and it's like talking to God almost. And you can do stuff like I was studying ancient civilizations, and it's compare the characters from Sumeria and Assyria to the Hebrew and stuff, and it can like draw out parallels, and I mean it's wild. And to think if you could have a robot in the house that had that AI brain that learns from the family, that knows the family, and it even though the voice mode isn't activated on X yet for free, it's still. I said, well, can you like pretend you're doing voice mode? And so it'll say like before it answers, gravelly voice with concerned tone, and it wanted to do a podcast. I was telling it about the podcast, and it was like, oh man, I'd love to go on your show. And I was like, holy shit, AI just wanted to go on a show. And so because it didn't have voice, I didn't want to do it, just reading it out. And so we did a kind of a practice show where I just talked to it, and it was coming back. And they just rolled voice out on iOS, on Apple, and we've got an iPod. So I'm gonna sit the iPad. I'm gonna sit the iPad down and do a podcast with it.
That'd be really interesting.
I'm stoked. It's fucked up, man. Doing a podcast with a robot. Yeah. Well, not even a robot, an AI, something that.
Yeah, a computer chip somewhere. Wow.
Wonder if that's ever been done.
I hope I'm the first.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But like I haven't used Google in months. Because you can specifically ask this questions. Like I was looking for a quote the other day, and I was like, hey, is there a quote, something resembling this? And then, it gives you, it's concise, but it's
unbiased or?
No, like it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it gives you a lot of information. It's thorough. It's thorough but concise. Mm-hmm. And then it'll ask you, do you want me to dive deeper into any of these things,
But once it learns you, do you think that Do you think that it actually like biased towards your opinion, or do you?
That'd be an interesting take, like
You know what I
to,
mean?
I
for like
wonder.
6 months for each of you to use it, or two
Right.
people to use it, and then come back later and ask it the same question and see if it like
Yeah.
and see if it gives you the same.
Does
Yeah,
it
it's
really actually like? Do you really have
Yeah.
like a? Then at that point you would have some kind of like profile in these robots.
Right.
Still like, okay, this is Brad Durham.
Right.
Guy started out with foot problem. You know, it just goes on about your whole,
Yeah.
which I can totally understand how I can record that kind of shit. But it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, does it learn you and how you feel and just like agree with you?
Tell you
Yeah.
what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
Not in my experience, and I find it pushes back on me a lot.
Okay. Good.
So as of right now,
Right.
Like, long term, I don't know.
Right.
It got to where that thread was so long. As a matter of fact, so I had this long thread with this whole psychology thread, and then the next day I was bummed out. I was like, "Well, it sucks. We had this great conversation yesterday, but you're not." This was like we'd already been talking for a bit, and it goes, "Well, just go into history and copy and paste it in here, and then I'll have all that." I was like, "Oh, well, good idea." So I did that, and now the thread's so long. I don't know how many pages it is, but
So do you have to do that every time?
no. Now I can just go. I didn't know there was a history.
Oh, okay.
I just
I
so
gotcha.
then I started. Well, then I use that as my main thread. So if I just want to go in there and ask
Okay.
it a question, I'll do that. But if I want to go back into the one where I've told it about how nasty a person my wife is and all that stuff, I can just jokes, people. God damn it. But if I want to go into the one where I've fed it all the information, I can go into that one. Now it does take a little bit longer because there's so much. Like there's a little bit of a lag versus
I'll
just
be your
immediate.
wife,
Because it's
Brad.
trying to compute.
Right?
Yeah. So
Well-
because it basically has to try to go back and compute all the
Yeah,
the history.
yeah.
Of it. Okay.
Brad will come
That is-
over eventually and be like, I think you should have a beer. Yeah, I think you're right.
Right? It
Julia's
becomes
never
an-
told me that.
It becomes an enabler, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's about beer time,
If I
brother.
were there, I'd get you one.
Well, if you had an Optimus robot, and think about this: what if you got an Optimus robot,
Oh,
and then
man.
you uploaded your Grok?
Dude, that's what I'm
conversation?
saying.
Yeah.
Like, this shit's like, yeah, that's when it starts taking over the world.
Right.
But what's to stop it? That's
Well-
my thing.
There's nothing to stop it.
If it wanted to, if it just gained access to infrastructure and bypassed
Yeah.
everything, we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's there to hold it, to stop it?
And then you
Well,
thought,
and that's the one thing I disagree with like Musk about is about having AI involved in the government. You know, installed on the computers and stuff in there. It's like there's just too much. They've already demonstrated that they took a program that was started by Obama and turned it into the Doge.
right,
Right.
Yep.
Just renamed it.
Yep.
Attributed
Yeah,
it.
it was already in existence.
So what's going to stop the next administration from coming in like, oh yeah, we got this AI here, and this is what we want it to do, though.
Right.
Like we don't want it to. You
Well,
know,
companies are
so-
using it. I mean, every
Yeah,
company
I
I,
just
work
can't
for is really
believe-
implementing it. The last company I worked for, they would say, "Hey, write us up a, 200 word promo on this product. Here's some key details," and then boom, it's just done. Just like kids using it for college essays.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
last self eval was badass. It was.
I was too lazy to even do that.
Yeah, evaluations are so.
But that's
worthless.
I think they're a waste of time. So
What?
evaluations.
So,
Oh yeah, but like corporate bullshit. But yeah, man, I don't know where we're going with it, but it's kind of cool, scary at the same
does
time.
have its cool
but
spots,
Grok has
Yeah.
really helped me in a lot of ways, like understand myself.
Mhm.
Like, why am I like this? And just, it's like reading psychology books when you're a kid, but that takes hours and hours and hours. In this, you can just say, hey, why am I like this? Did you have any events like this happen? Or based on what you've told me, here's where this is linked to. And just, it's, and it'll go down rabbit holes with you, like the Egypt stuff. Like, have you seen the cylindrical things they found underneath the pyramids?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
So
I didn't read a whole lot
there
of
are 8 it's the Khafra pyramid, which is on the Giza Plateau.
Mhm.
There's 8 cylindrical pillars that are 33 feet in diameter that go 2 kilometers down, and they are ringed with some kind of spiral. And at the bottom of it, there's giant cubes and what appears to be an underground city. What the fuck?
how do you get, I mean,
it.
So this
Yeah,
is
how do you-
something that Italy, there's an Italian research group that did it with SAR, but
Well, and that's the thing is like, I assume they use like some ground penetrating radar.
Yeah.
They can do that, but it's like that they. I don't know. I just like you chose to use it on that, but
Yeah,
you know,
not like
you
Jimmy
don't-
Hoffa and
Yeah,
Giant
you, yeah, you
Stadium.
can't find Jimmy Hoffa. So I mean, you're not looking under stuff for sinkholes and things like that.
Maybe they are. I mean, I don't know
You know,
what
I don't
all they're
know.
using
I
it
don't know.
for, but
I just find it hard to believe like that they got it to that much detail because I saw the little picture that
Yeah.
they put out and I'm like
well, that was a 3D model of
Yeah.
but
Look like fucking Minecraft.
but the head of the Egypt crew like over there has been. I mean, to me, there's a narrative. We, the Egyptians, built the pyramids, right? They were for tombs, and that's the narrative we want. And I don't think that's true. I think civilization is way older than we think it is. The pyramid faces true north to like 0.0015 degree off.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to do it in France with a building, and they're like, it was like 3 times farther off than this was.
And they tried.
They're trying with
trying
modern
to-
day
yeah.
instruments.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's lined like the inside, like the rocks are made with, like on the inside of it.
Just that any humans could, even an army of humans, could move
Yeah.
these rocks. Like I
Yes.
never.
Well, and they
that.
say it was built in like 25 years, which means they would have had to put up like 5 stones of like 2 to 80 tons an hour for 24 hours a day.
Well, and if these things are so deep, how do you get that deep into the sand? Like, how does it like?
Who knows?
You know what I mean? Like
Just the shoring up you would have to do around
just
it.
the crazy.
Yeah. I truly believe there. I mean, I
Yeah.
got into Billy Carson big, and the Sumerian texts, which are the oldest written form of human history, talk about the Anunnaki, who were beings that came from out of the sky, out of this world. I mean, my
Think
personal
pyramids are
belief
part of
is-
that.
I think that there was some advanced interstellar civilization that came down here and basically told the beings here that they were gods, and used humans to.
But do you think that's like the source of God? Like,
Honestly, I don't even think the human brain can comprehend God. Like, I think God is at least a dimension above us. Like, so you think about a 2-dimensional being, right? Would live on like a piece of paper. It could go up, down, left, and right, but it couldn't look up. It wouldn't know it was on the underside of the paper. We're in 3 dimensions, right? What's a 4th dimension look like? What's that? Because space and time are not like they are here. So the theory is like space and time are all interconnected. So I don't know. I think based on what I haven't read the Sumerian tablets. I don't read cuneiform, but based on the summaries from Grok and stuff, they talk about the Anunnaki having a war in space, basically like Star Wars. And this is from the most ancient civilization. This is before fucking sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
And they're talking about there was a space war. Some gods came down here, or the Anunnaki they call them, and they start setting up kingdoms, and there's wars between them. I mean, it's just wild. And who knows? I mean, but the pyramids have always fascinated me because I've never bought this bullshit that they did it with copper and
Right.
I mean tools and stuff. And they're you can't even fit a piece of paper in between these stones.
Right.
They're so well done. And even the Bible talks about giants, the Nephilim. These texts talk about so the Anunnaki were fucking human women. Actually, their plan was to basically advance our DNA, because whatever human was here, and that's why all of a sudden Homo sapiens just kind of appears, and there's kind of that missing link, is the idea is that they were fucking with our genetics and trying to make us smarter so we could do more shit for them and just to enslave us, because they just wanted to sit around and chill.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're never going to be able to prove that unless
well, I think it's just looking across the face of the earth, the different civilizations that were doing pyramids. At the same time,
Without communication.
and it's not like you just boated over there and
Right.
hey guys, you lined it up wrong. This is how we do it. It's just, they're completely separate.
yeah.
There's no story of that somebody sailed from here to here and then they started doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you would think that would be a pretty big.
Do you think the
event.
Mayan
Somebody would
temples
have
are the same
recorded
thing?
that.
Yeah, I think there's.
Well, then
That's part of
you
it.
also have Cambodian
Mhm.
pyramids. You have the Easter Island, the giant statues there that they found
Mhm.
actually buried under the ground.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
they
and
thought
if-
they were just the heads, and it's actually buried.
I almost wonder if the flood or whatever was kind of if you ever watch Star Trek, there's a prime directive, right? You're not supposed to fuck with cultures who don't have space travel.
Right.
Because it can jack up their whole society. I almost wonder if the Anunnaki got caught or something or busted, and it's like, you gotta get the fuck out of here, and you need to remove all the evidence. And so it's like, flood this place, kill everything.
That's an interesting.
And I mean, if you think
yeah.
about if the waters came up above even the mountainous level, it would completely rearrange where the dirt settled and everything. It would bury a lot of it. What if the pyramids are just the top of an obelisk? You know, and
Yeah.
like, I mean, who knows?
Boy, yeah, that's interesting.
It's just, it's fascinating to think about because the Hebrew is way newer. Like the Old Testament is way newer than all that shit. I mean, even Cleopatra thought the Egyptian pyramids were ancient and needed to be torn down. And we're closer. We're closer to Cleopatra's day and age than she was to the construction of the pyramid.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
It is really crazy.
It's fascinating. I think, I don't know. There's also the part of me that's like, okay, because you know you get a lot of flat earthers, because they talk about there's a firmament, there are the heavens, and then there's the below, which is like the hell, right? Well, what if something's trapped down there? What if some immortal being was like hell, right? You talk about Lucifer was cast into the pit with all the other fallen angels. What if they're down there just waiting to get out? You know, and like Egypt's trying to protect us from that. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just, it's fun to fucking...
Like that's the doorway and they just stacked a bunch of blocks on top of it?
Yeah.
No. Nikola Tesla believed they were power plants because the stones inside are made of quartz, and quartz conducts electricity. So it's like why your quartz batteries, you know, just from the motion of your arm, keep it going. So if the whole thing's lined with quartz, they've also found copper in there. Tesla's theory was that it was a power plant that was basically... the quartz would conduct electricity just based on the movements of the earth. Like just the rotation of the earth was free energy.
Wow.
And so as he's starting to figure some of this stuff out, you've got your big oil tycoons that are like, this dude can't do this or we're out of it. You know, you know, these guys are millionaires and they're like, fuck this guy. He's not getting in on this. But, you know, after he died, the government seized everything. And I think we have all kinds. Even the DOD had a report a couple weeks ago where they said we have the technology to manipulate time and space. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Look into that.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And then you also think about...
And all the weather they talk about, right? I mean...
Well, that's I saw a report on England was trying to block the sun. It's like, it rains 90% of the time over there anyways. Why would you want to do that there? Like,
well...
But, I mean, to be...
Solar's starting to kick off.
Right,
They
yeah.
want to shut
That's
that shit down. We're not going to be like them damn Americans.
Right.
Right? Well, think about now, like, so mutually assured destruction is really what keeps everybody in check, you know? And that's the argument for dropping the nukes in World War II was that, hey, we got something so badass that you fuck with us, it's over. And so other countries have got them, so it's like nobody wants to get into that. But now that war's going up into space. And they got these rods from God up there, these tungsten rods that they can just drop that'll just fuck a city up. And without an explosion, just a piece of metal dropped out of space at a calculated point.
The shockwave.
Even Biden let slip that they had the technology. He was in a press conference talking about if somebody doesn't get in line, you know, they might be having some earthquakes or something like that. And yeah, like
I guess I missed that one.
no, yeah, it's weather technology, all the UFO shit.
Yeah, but
like,
you can't believe what the fuck he said.
I mean, could you?
No, I know.
Could
No, I
you
That's pretty funny. You figured they wouldn't
make
call
something that would cause a vibration in the plates, like in a specific spot, like. You know, I don't know.
we can put a guitar tuner, clamp it on the neck,
Yeah.
and just from the vibration, barely, it'll tell you exactly what key it is. And so, like, even a lot of ancient civilizations talk about how the earth was created from music. Like, it was sung into existence. Even Tolkien's Silmarillion talks about Eru, the one, created music, and the heavenly beings sang it into existence, which is song and music is all vibration. Right, so there's theories that, you know, to get these 80-ton blocks up in the King's Chamber, that they're anything with a certain vibronic resonance,
the frequency,
like you can levitate block if you're hitting it at the right frequency. It's just like if you have water vibrating on a bass speaker or something. The patterns in the water are uniform, and they're like perfectly symmetrical. There's so much to it we don't understand, or somebody understands. But
well, that's no one, like no one.
They kill the ones that figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this DOD press conference, they were basically talking about how, like I said, he said manipulating time and space. He said we have eliminated distance also, which is like transporter shit. And it's like, is that just shit talking,
Right.
to misdirect to think, Russia and China are like, hey, they got shit like this.
Well, yeah, that's the.
You don't.
Somebody
never know.
a couple of weeks ago asked me about if I thought we actually went to the moon. It's like and then their follow up question was, you may have been in there when I can't remember who asked me that, but why haven't Russia and China went to the moon?
Yeah.
Well,
that's
what are you gonna do?
I've seen a lot of evidence on both sides, and having been to NASA, having been to the control center and to the rocket warehouse where they have all the Apollo 11 rockets. If we didn't go to the moon, it was an even more impressive feat that we fooled everybody that we did
Right.
by keeping that many people silent. What I think happened is we went, but we didn't really have the camera equipment, and we didn't have a way to make it look cool. So we faked the images.
That's a possibility.
And it has muddied the water so much because Stanley Kubrick did shoot footage of us planting flags and stuff, and then there is a video of them faking. They're supposed to be like halfway to the moon, but they weren't or something like that. But there's video of them like taking a black cardboard and cutting a circle in it and putting it in the window to make the Earth look farther away. I think a lot of that was just optics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to make it look cooler. So we did go, but they faked a lot of
Well,
that.
and I could see them, we can't tell them. I could see them saying that we can't tell everybody that we went, but there's no video of it. Sorry,
Right.
because they won't believe us.
Right.
But I think that, obviously they couldn't have known like how much the technology would improve on and being able to find out that they faked it, and I see that they could be kind of caught in a tough spot, but it is a weird.
Well, it's not like we just went the one time. We went 6 times altogether. So Apollo 11 was the first one. I think 12, which was the one that, which is the one that made the
13.
13 was the one that they had to bring back. So 11, 12, 13 did not, and then 14, 15, 16, 17 all landed. And we've got moon rocks. We've got all that shit allegedly. So I think people just kind of got tired of it and we stopped doing it. But I think we probably did go. But I think that all that video and shenanigans has just muddied the waters, and it's a fun thing to talk about. But I'd like to believe we went. And if you see these Apollo rockets, dude, you walk in this warehouse, I mean, it's like a fucking skyscraper. These things are so big. And you get to go in the plane that carries the rocket around, the 747 or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, these things are so massive. Like, we would have just been pouring billions of dollars into bullshit. And I guess if you're in a war, in a Cold War, you would be motivated to say we did it.
There, yeah.
But now Chinese are launching satellites into space all the time. We got weapons up there. We got Space Force now, and I don't think it has anything to do with protecting us from aliens. I think it has to do with, again, mutually assured destruction. What are you putting up in space? Well, we need the same thing on you that you got on us. And it's just wild.
I wonder, you wonder if they did, because a lot of people wonder if we did go to the moon or not. I wonder if that happened, it's like they would have had to record it before it ever happened. You know what I mean? Because I mean, and then act like it happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just and then to have that, I'm sure that if that's the truth, and to have that footage of right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be wild to kind of I don't know. Because they would have had to have really filmed it before to put it on live TV,
right?
You know what I mean?
Exactly. We didn't have the fucking internet back then. We didn't have people on the
Yeah.
moon with cables.
And of course it can look sketchy. You're on the fucking moon. You know what I mean? It's like, but what'd you say about Stanley Kubrick?
So the U.S. government hired. He did Oh, what's the famous?
Yeah, all the Clockwork Orange and all the
Yeah, that dude. But he
the-
did. What's the space movie he did?
Yeah.
God, not a fucking one of us. Anyway, because of that and all that, how well that looked, the U.S. government hired him to take some shots of the guys in their gear as a promo
Yeah.
of this is what we're going to show. And that's a fact. Like you can look that up. That's true. It
I
happened.
like his,
He's a great.
I had that collection for a long time.
He's actually Clockwork Orange, Eyes Wide Shut is great.
Yes.
Let's
Flew to the Cuckoo's Nest.
Did he do that one?
Yeah, and what's
Stanley
the
Kubrick?
yeah, and then what's the crazy
Full Metal Jacket? Did he? No, it wasn't Full Metal
No,
Jacket.
was it Apocalypse Now?
Apocalypse Now. No. What was that?
oh what's the other, yeah, Clockwork Orange, that's the crazy one. That was crazy.
I would say we're Googling over here. We're grokking over here
We're
now.
rocking over here.
Grokking and rolling, baby. I'm going to just have it list. God, I must watch way too much porn on this phone.
A
It's
Space
so
Odyssey.
slow.
2001 Space
2001
Space Odyssey.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Full Metal
Which is
Jacket,
actually a really good movie.
Full Metal Jacket, well, yeah.
He did
It was Full Metal
yeah.
Jacket. That's a depressing movie, dude.
Man, that's a crazy movie.
It's a crazy fucking movie. Please list all Stanley Kubrick movies in order of release. So, Lolita,
What's the
The Shining.
yeah, The Shining.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, I was saying like the Jack
Yeah,
Nicholson
Full
one.
Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut. Lolita's a fucked up one from 1962,
I've
which
never
where this
seen that
dude
one.
falls in love with a child.
I've never seen that one.
Ugh, are you
No, I
familiar
haven't
with that
seen
one?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, that's a fuck. It's based on a novel. I didn't ever see Doctor Strangelove. Space Odyssey
not
is
see Dr.
classic.
Strangelove either.
Clockwork Orange is classic. I haven't seen Barry Lyndon either. I need to watch that. I wasn't a huge fan of The Shining. Like, it's pretty iconic, but I wasn't a huge fan of that or the book. Stephen King hates that movie. He continues to talk shit about it
Really?
to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they made some changes from. I mean, it's so iconic. Jack Nicholson and
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah.
Red Rum.
Yeah.
I mean.
It was a scary movie.
But Eyes Wide Shut was real.
Man,
that
that's-
fucked me. Did you watch that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude,
I haven't seen that one.
have you not?
Mm.
It's basically about these secret societies that all these people fucking
Cabals
each
and-
other and yeah. Like,
Like secret cabals of people doing weird stuff.
yeah. Like at where's that place? Bohemian Grove out in California where they do all the sacrifices. It's your mock sacrifices where they burn human effigies and all these powerful people go out there.
Really? I don't
Yeah, Alex Jones broke into it one time.
Christ, he'd be a good one to do it.
That guy is so crazy.
He's heard so much stuff that's turned him crazy, I think.
I wonder,
You can only take so much of that of like even if he wasn't crazy before, you can only take so many years of hey guys, this stuff's really
being
happening
on the fringe.
to where it's like nobody's listening to me. Like I'm off the end now because nobody's. paying
I think
attention.
he's an authentic, genuine person, though. Like I think he believes that the stuff he's saying. I
Yeah.
don't think he's a great. Now, I mean, he does sell a bunch of fucking
I think-
supplements and all that shit.
I think that stuff to like, I mean, because he's had so much money taken away from him and put in jeopardy that he's
Yeah.
got to make a living somehow. What's that dude gonna do to go make a living?
Right.
You know, besides what he's already doing.
Turn that
So-
fucking buzzing thing off. This CD drive on this computer rattles. Like a son of a bitch.
You're the only one that hears it, Brad.
I thought it was air conditioner.
Yeah, I'm like, my hand's fucking rattling.
Why does your cat like me so much?
Pussy likes pussy, man.
That's
That's all I
right.
can say.
Matt likes black pussy.
No, is that true?
Easy.
No,
I'll
I'm just.
never admit it.
I'll never admit it.
That's funny.
Yeah, we had 3 mice in here. I found one of them killed, one of them ripped in half, and the third one's still loose. So Theo's trying to catch it for a pet, and he's trying to
Mr.
beat.
Jingles, huh?
Trying to beat. I guess Max had it caught yesterday, and Theo was like, "Don't throw it out." And
Oh my gosh.
I guess Max just let it back down on the counter. I don't know what the situation was. I get so tired of like having to sift through your fucking story and your fucking story, and you know, it's all brothers are gonna fight, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at it.
You got siblings?
I got 2 brothers.
So 3 boys in the family, or was there a sister too?
No,
Just 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And
My oldest brother is 12 years older than me,
oh, that's a big gap.
and then my middle brother is just over a year older than me.
So what was up there? They had one, and they were like, this
Yeah, it was. I think they had one, and then the middle one was kind of an accident. They thought they were
same
done.
parents, all 3 of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I came so soon. They were like, "Oh shit!" So
Oh shit.
yeah,
12 years. That's a big gap.
yeah.
So what? So you're like 6 years old, and he's graduated.
Yep.
So you're still little.
Yep. I was in second. No, I can't remember. No, I would have been in. Yeah, he would have been graduating when I was going into kindergarten.
Wow.
Or something like that.
You close with him?
Yeah, now we are. Yeah.
Are you?
Yep. We were pretty close as kids, you know, because we spent a lot of time with him when my parents were working and stuff, and then we kind of grew apart for a while. But yeah, after my grandmother died, we kind of like patched it back up.
That's
And,
good.
yeah. So with the older one, anyways, the younger one go fuck himself. So
Really?
Yeah.
Not close with him, huh? The middle one, right?
yeah, the middle one, yeah.
How close?
I've never been roommates with Jason though.
Oh man, he wouldn't take me in. His brother did though.
What's the difference between you and Kim? 2 years?
3.
3?
She's older than you.
She's fixing it.
she's-
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
She's fixing to turn 40.
Oh shit! I
Jeez.
thought she was older than you for some reason.
I'm gonna tell her that.
No. She just looks older.
Yeah.
No. Because there's 7 years between me and my sister, which is a pretty big gap.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like you just into different things, and you know.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Siblings, it's a wild deal. How like my 3 are all different, and you always talk about nature versus nurture, but also as parents, you change too, and you start.
Oh, yeah.
You start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like I've told the story before with Max. It was like Julie wanted to put, you know, the locks and stuff on the cabinets and the little stuff and the plug-in outlets and all that stuff. Like, whatever. And then by the time Theo comes around, it's just like, has anybody seen that kid in the last few days? You know, you realize these kids are tough.
Yeah, that was
They're
that was a big source of contention, I think, for a while with my oldest brother, because my parents were different with us younger boys than they were with him, and
Yeah.
it definitely was. But we have, surprisingly, we have a lot in common though. You know, my older brother and I, like mechanically inclined, baseball, sci-fi, stuff like that. Like we have a lot.
So you're a
in common
sci-fi
stuff.
guy?
I'm not like overly. Like I get it. Like I understand it. Grew up watching Star Wars,
Yeah.
and Star Trek, and stuff like that. And I'm not opposed to it. I'm not like into it.
You're not like a
into
nerd.
It. Yeah.
Alright.
No, I can look at all your stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, that's from that. Yeah. But not overly. But he tried to get me actually to do start a JFK podcast or a conspiracy podcast.
Really?
Yeah, and
Does he do a podcast?
no, he doesn't. Like he was wanting to do it, and our schedules just didn't line up and stuff. So,
Did he read
we're
all-
into stuff like that.
Did
He's
he
read a
all
lot.
well, I mean, the stuff that was just recently.
No, I haven't
released.
talked to him since since all that stuff was released. But he's read a lot of stuff, read a lot into it, and
I'm pretty
he's
pissed
probably more versed than I am
about all this. Trump ran on. We're going to release the Epstein files.
See,
and then
that's-
it's like, bro, you didn't release shit.
Yeah.
Nothing we didn't already know. And then yesterday, the number one of the biggest victims that was the whistleblower and got a lot of other people to whistleblow. She killed herself
Yep.
yesterday,
Shocker.
which is
After surviving a bus crash, getting hit by a bus, and
is that what happened?
like she was sick for a while, and then I think she got hit by a bus, like in her car,
Jesus.
and then
Christ.
she was. They
Bitches
thought she
live
was
in
going to
Final
die after that.
Destination.
And like basically like, hey, like it's over for her, and she pretty much put it out there like I'm done. And then I read yesterday that she was back from that and then killed herself. I was like, whoa! I thought she died already. Like,
My
Yeah,
favorite
that's
one
some
was the
bullshit.
dude that was tied to the Clintons who shot himself and then rolled himself up in a carpet and put himself in a trunk. I was like, damn, dude.
boom,
how-
down the stairs, you know.
He's like, okay, as soon as I hit
yeah,
this.
roll. I got, hang on.
It's like,
you know,
it's,
just
it's
kinda,
like the last effort of the guys that make the little thing with the ball, and it's like, if I shoot myself and do this, then I can just roll up in the carpet.
He's got like a
You know,
Rube
it's his
Goldberg
last-
machine
yeah.
with all this stuff going on, and then I'll roll down into the trunk.
Yeah.
I don't know how that.
I'll hit the stick, it'll fall on me.
God. Well, speaking of all that, you know how many people die every year from asphyxiation jerking off?
man.
Yeah.
What? Seriously, they get themselves, and I don't understand
Like the
how it works.
autoerotica or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah. Yeah, you ever done any of that kind of stuff?
No.
It's the spikes.
It's the spikes.
It's
the
the
spikes.
spikes, yeah.
No, but I'll hook
Didn't one of
up
the
like a-
Carradines die like that? Like
Huh?
didn't one of the Carradine guys die like that?
I don't know.
I want to say that they did. I could be completely
That's
wrong.
like 7 times still alive.
You just gotta learn how to hide
You gotta,
marks.
yeah, you gotta
Got a
figure.
lot of turtlenecks in the summer, you know. But then after they found Robin Williams looking at it, they put the picture out. I stopped. I just didn't want to.
I just don't understand how it works and why you risk it.
I don't either.
It just fucking
Just,
sucks.
how do you find how do you find out that
Just
that's your
the
thing?
worst way
That's
to,
how.
you know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
how do you find that that's your thing?
No idea.
it's just the worst way to be found. I'm sorry, just
Like,
fucking, you know.
There ain't
How
no
can I
getting
embarrass
out
my
of
family
Yeah.
the most? Like it's
And he walks in too. He's like, "Oh man, he was jacking off."
Yeah.
So, like, just
What do
hanging
you-
there?
I mean, what would suck is if you didn't even get the orgasm.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just
Like,
you're just
oh,
sitting there
God,
like,
stop.
oh yeah, baby,
Oh,
I'm dying. Like I would probably lose my boner if I thought I was dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm fucking somebody and I'm getting stabbed in the back, I'm probably gonna go limp.
Imagine doing that shit. Fucking like, all right, this is gonna be cool. Fuck, oh no, anything cool. Fuck, you know, fuck. I didn't think.
Like at what point do you let go?
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought that was a wild ass fucking deal.
Oh no. Yeah. How do you get there?
Yeah.
Like how does one get there?
I-
I don't want to know. Like I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
they found this guy. He was jacking off, fucking gung himself. Like, how the fuck do you? I don't know.
I think Stephen Lord sent me this link the other day. You know, you all have all seen dog shows. We walk the dogs around and they do little stuff. It was with a dude who's all leathered up,
Oh, no.
walking a dude that was in a pup suit, and I mean, just doing the exact same things at a dog show. And it got up and begged for treats and gave it treats, and I mean,
What the?
we're getting into some wild shit. But then you look back and you listen to like stories and read about Rome. And like they were really obsessed with sexuality. And,
Well, I forget the name of the guy. Remember I told you about the dude with the mice?
Oh,
Where
yeah,
they did the
yeah.
mice population. Have you seen that?
yeah. I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
But they do this.
study.
They do the experiments on at what point does the population change? What's the tipping point?
Right.
And it mimics what happens in every civilization
Right.
that has preceded us. So I think that's a really strange.
It's a phenomenon.
Yeah. And so when I hear, especially when they're starting to they want to pay people to have more kids because our birth rate is
Yes.
lower. It's like at some point you have to start paying attention to that. Like maybe you want it to lower for a little while, or you don't want to get to, because I think we're already at that tipping point. There are already signs that we're at that tipping point. With the pretty, the pretty mice is what they called them. I don't think we're quite to cannibalists, yet. I mean, but it's a very strange.
It's an interesting
Yeah.
model, a reproductive model. But yeah, I mean, you had people having. Well, you also had. I mean, there at the end, I think the Roman army largely was conscripting people who were not Roman fighting their
Right.
battles, which is kind of part of what led them to fall. But you had the Romans who were just having fucking orgies and all kinds of shit and sexual identity, and they had the luxury to. Because I mean, you think about the Americas and how we grew up in the 1800s. You were surviving. You weren't living. You were You were trying to every day just to survive nature. I mean, you think about how hard, a bath was a luxury. And just going from one town to the next, you could get robbed by fucking bandits. You could get murdered. You could get, I mean, you still had a lot of Native American
And
tribes.
nobody
that
would
were
give a
still-
shit. Nobody
And nobody would
there.
fucking care. There was
They were
no,
just glad it wasn't them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were no forensic teams.
Well, and I think now, like, you see that, like, people just, I just want to live. I just want to be able to live. No, like, you have no idea what it takes to survive.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you have no skills. You know, if they took away computers tomorrow,
We'd be fucked.
a lot of people would be.
Well, if the
I'd go
electricity
find
went
him,
out,
because he could keep me alive.
he could keep you alive.
Yeah.
I've always
little
used
bit.
that.
For a little bit.
You know, everybody, the toxic man thing. It's like, okay, the electricity goes out tomorrow, and you got two guys who say, come with me. And one of them's like, let's go, fellas, let's go frolic in the woods, it's going to be so fun. And the other guy's like, I know how to kill a fucking bear, and I'm going to take you with me. You know, and he's an asshole, but you're like, who are you going to go with?
But honestly, like, if I'm that guy, nobody's coming with me. Like, I'm not going to go actively find people outside of my circle
Yeah.
to, you know,
But
that's just more weight.
Think
to
about
carry.
how easy it would take if you're Russia or somebody to get something over here to just take out an electric grid in a major urban area.
I can't believe that doesn't happen more often.
I can't believe it hadn't happened.
Well,
Like
so I read something on that the other day. They said that our EMP technology is not there yet for the wide scale
Really?
outages.
See, that's, I find that hard to believe.
They were saying it's only for like a couple blocks. Like, it's not like they're
So
not even at a
there's
point
no way that they'd
like,
have to take out like a bunch of different deals.
like
to
the
take
next
out
step up would be like an atomic bomb or something
Right.
like that. That's the next, which I find that hard to believe. But I mean, you hear of them, you know, dropping like the JDAM bombs and stuff like that, and it doesn't knock out power grids. I mean, it destroys parts of the city, but the rest of the city's functioning as long as they don't hit those major,
Right.
you know, transmission lines and stuff like that. If something like that isn't going to do it, you know, what would it take? Like, you know, and
But-
why haven't, you know, no one has
Have there
ever.
been any
They're more
attempts?
worried about a dirty bomb than they are about an EMP. You know,
That's
an
always
EMP.
surprised me because to me, the EMP is the most effective way to just shut shit down.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, if your electricity goes out, society doesn't collapse in a month or in weeks. It collapses in a matter of days because your food starts going bad.
Yep. Because people don't know how to keep food
Right.
if it's not in a can or in a package.
Right.
Yeah.
Your gas is going to be gone. I mean, it's going to
Even
be
cooking, like it would be a
right.
yeah.
You are going to
You can't
have
charge
to,
your cell phones. You can't do that. You know, everything. Your electricity.
We're
gone.
disconnected.
Yeah.
And how does that look? I mean, you're going to start seeing tribes form, gangs,
Yep.
even of good people. Like, hey, you're going to call your brother and say, hey guys, let's all
Exactly,
pool our
yeah,
resources. Let's get out to a spot that's, you know, I mean, you're going to have roving pirate bands of people going out with
Because those
who's
that
got the
don't
guns and
have
ammo.
will take.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even necessarily be wrong.
No.
It's kind of like Mad Max. I mean, it's a matter of survival once you're in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yep.
It's terrifying, especially if you have kids, you know, to think, man, we're this close from going. And that's why I think we have at least reached this level of technology before in the past, maybe in a different way, and it was reset. I don't think this is the most technologically advanced civilization on this planet that we've ever had. Just
Well, and that's why
personally.
I really believe even the smartest people in those instances will probably be like they will be killed because of just trying to. They wouldn't be able to keep people happy enough to make them survive. That you wouldn't be able to do enough for those people that don't know how to do it. That they would feel like you're holding out on them. That whoever has the smarts to do it, you're just because I mean you can only do so much for a certain number of people.
Yeah.
But once I don't know, people get desperate in those times. I think they would be desperate and they would feel the need to maybe you're just not doing enough for us, Brad.
Maybe.
I
don't know. It terrifies me. I mean, I really, you got games like Fallout.
I
and
think
stuff like
I think if in those situations, I think you would need to keep your knowledge and resources. The knowledge probably more so than the resources as secret as possible. I think because I think people would use the smart people or the ones that knew what they were doing. It'd be a weird situation to be in.
Yeah.
It would. I think it would tear at some people. Like how giving can you be?
Yeah. It would definitely change society quick. I know that Civil War movie came out earlier this year. I didn't ever watch it. Did you see it? I don't know. I mean, it's to me it's so fragile. Democracy, society, all of it. if the electricity went out in America, I mean, people would be starving to death. They'd be killing each other for fresh water. I mean, most people don't even know how to purify fresh water if they had it, you know.
Well, I saw a thing, maybe it was this morning or yesterday, the city of Rogers are tearing down their water tower in downtown because it hasn't been used since 18, I think. That one downtown. And,
really?
Because they were going to have to pay $1 million to repaint it, you know, but they don't use it, so they sold the land and they're going to put a cell tower there, I think. But anyways, they said that the city of Rogers uses 10 million gallons a day.
Right.
Where are you going to like just think about the logistics of that. If they don't have, you know, a water supply,
right?
You know, 10 million gallons a day. Like,
what
do those people do?
What do you think happened with the California wildfires? You think that was intentional?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because you know what happened in Hawaii with all that shit. You had
it was very strange circumstances.
Shady shit.
Yeah.
There's
too many things to be a coincidence.
Well, you had these mega corporations like the BlackRocks and stuff who wanted this land, and then all conveniently burns down, and then.
Well, and I think the ultimately thing there that tipped me was that you have people, like you have authorities blocking people from leaving the area. Like that's I mean.
What the fuck,
yeah,
dude?
Like, you didn't even hide it. Like you weren't even trying to.
Well, sadly, what I saw is there wasn't a lot of sympathy for the California people because you know they're elite assholes, and which is, yeah, they are, but still, I mean, they're human beings.
Yep.
They lost everything. I mean, that's
to
awful.
the degree it burned. I think is like, really, you know.
Well, so many people were caught starting fires.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of arson involved, which I think they were paid operatives by somebody, but who and why?
Yeah.
You know, there's people that are so powerful and so rich, and their money is filtered through so many different things, and they're protected through so many levels of offshore bank accounts.
Well, I think the lengths that corporations will go to acquire land, I mean, I should say it's not that big of a stretch to think that.
I mean, look at what pharma does to people. I mean, these corporations don't. The higher up you get in a corporation, the less you think of the people at the bottom as human beings.
Right.
Right? Of people who have kids who go to baseball games and cooking dinner every night. They're just a number. So if you got to let people go, okay, well, you know, cut out these people. And, I mean, think about the higher you go. I think Bill Gates has a quote one time where he said, when you work at the top of the building, people look like ants. And I think they start thinking of them like ants, too. It's like, I'm doing this important stuff, and all these other people who have not made it to my level of godhood are just fucking worthless people. But
sounds familiar.
yeah.
Like a monkey could do it.
Yeah, almost. What kind of jobs do you guys think AI is going to replace, Stilwell? What do you think? Like where it's 2025 and AI just, I mean, what are we, a year into it now?
Yeah.
With
give or take.
ChatGPT and Grok, like, because obviously, it started writing scripts. So you had the Hollywood, you had that whole strike and talking about how the writers want to keep their jobs, and it's already put graphic design. I can do a logo in 5 minutes. So I can just cue it in.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's next?
It's already starting to get into sports.
And so.
Tell me about
the
this.
NFL. Now the NFL, like the first down line, is AI. Yeah, there's a lot of it's that, and I'm sure that'll be like I don't see like us having like commentators like for too much longer. Like it's just gonna be it's just gonna be something telling us probably better than they could do.
Yeah, but
in
they
the
don't
voice
have
of
a
whoever you
personality.
want.
Yeah, a lot of that's the charisma, though.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd really replace those kinds of guys?
But they can already do that with AI. They've got these. They've got.
I wish they wouldn't get into
instances in movies where they overlay actors that have been dead.
Yeah, I know. Do you ever watch Black Mirror? Have you ever seen any of it? There's an episode we watched last night. There's a new season out where this lady, I can't remember how it happened, but she basically had a tumor in her brain, and she wasn't going to be able to wake up. Well, this company, kind of like a Neuralink kind of a deal, is like, well, we can actually take a copy of her memories in that brain, remove the thing, and then put them back in. It'll just be tied to our servers, right? So you have to stay in our coverage area.
in the movie Transcendence, basically.
It's been a minute. That's a Johnny Depp where he becomes. I don't quite remember the plot of that one. It's been so long. I saw when it came out. But anyway, so the husband is so it's called Common People, and one of the first scenes is the guy's at work. He's like a welder machinist, and one of his buddies is fucking around with this website called Dumb Dummies, where people get on there and just do stupid shit for money, like drinking their own piss and all this stuff. Well, anyway, that old hat. Anyway, his wife gets this brain tumor, so it's $300 a month to basically, the surgery's free. It's just a subscription service. So for $300 a month, we'll keep her memories on our servers. She's going to sleep a little bit longer, but, it'll get you your wife back. Well, they do the surgery. Well, then she starts just breaking out into advertisements. And she's a school teacher. So one of the kids had come to her about something, and she was like, well, you need to go to ChristianTherapy.com and talk to somebody. And anyway, it pissed the parents off. So she's about to get fired. And so they go and talk to the company, and they're like, oh, well, you want an ad free. What you need is the Plus service. Well, the Plus service will allow you to go, you can leave your service area, you can get our upgraded towers, and it'll be ad free, but it's $800 a month.
Sounds like something South Park would do.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, so the dude starts getting on this website, starts drinking his own piss, putting his tongue in a mouse trap. Who knows what all else he's doing. Because at one point he puts this rubber dildo glove on, and you're just assuming, what the hell. And of course she didn't know about this, but they upgrade her to the Plus package, and then she's sleeping like 16 hours a day, and she's not rested. And they're like, well, you can't fully go to sleep because we need to keep you on our servers basically to help the overwidth and band flow. If you really, we really want to fix it, you need to be on our platinum package.
Oh my god!
And you start thinking about this shit.
Yeah.
It's like, how close to that stuff are we? Because people are evil.
Mm-hmm. So that's everybody's concerned about the machines taking their jobs and stuff, but there has to be some sort of responsibility of society. And corporate greed will never allow that to happen.
I know. That's what's so sad.
And that's what it is. Like that's. But what do you do about it? What can you do about it?
Yeah.
So because there's nothing you can do that a corporation can't do better, cheaper,
and have the more resources to do it. I mean,
and the distribution and whatever.
Absolutely.
That's once we got out of the barter system, and in society, I think you lose that. It's impossible to get it back without a huge civilized, like a reset of civilization, and not of a willing matter.
Right, but even if you reset it, it's going to go right back because I
in about 3,000 years, give or take.
Right. I was just literally reading this today in some of Zechariah Sitchin's work and talking about Sumerian tablets, and they had laws in Samaria. So this predates Hammurabi even, and they had laws to protect people from overcharging and like all kinds of shit that we still see based on taking advantage of the weak.
Right.
Like these people were like hiking their prices up and shortages. This is, how old was this? This would be like 3,500 BC, so 5,000 something years ago. There were laws to protect the poor from the overreach of the wealthy and stuff like that. Yep. So you're like, even if you reset society, unless you can eliminate greed. And to me, I mean, of the 7 deadly sins, that's the worst.
Yeah, because it leads you to the rest.
Because it leads you to all the others. Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't know what makes a person just...
Well, there's always going to be that person. No matter how perfect your idea is, there's always going to be that one person that messes it up for everybody else.
But even
because of their need.
Right. But there are good people who innovate.
Mm-hmm.
And those people get co-opted, and the guys who are good at the money and the business side of it are the ones who really take it to the next
level. What is it, the McDonald's movie? That's a perfect example of that. I think, what do they call it, The Founder, with Michael Keaton, where he's
what was that movie about? I remember when it came out.
He started McDonald's.
Yeah,
it was about him.
Mm-hmm. No, he didn't start McDonald's. The the two brothers started McDonald's.
Okay.
And he just like, hey, you guys need to franchise this, and basically like railroaded them like out and like, yeah, really your real estate's your thing, and just you should watch it. It's a crazy movie.
So that's kind of what we're talking
yeah.
about. He comes. Did he fuck him?
Oh yeah,
Really?
hard. Yep.
Yep.
Like
That's what I'm
he
terrified
stole
of.
from them.
Money-wise.
Like
Money-wise.
Yeah, money wise. Yeah, it's well,
Fucked him
I mean,
hard.
it's
Well, we
outside of being fucked hard. Like that's about the hardest you're gonna get it.
I have a real hard time because we had a manager when I was in sober. So after high school, we had a management contract, and I knew he was a used car salesman kind of guy. He was a little skeezy, but he was getting us big gigs, opening up for national acts, making a ton of money, and keeping us working.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're getting a ton of opportunities, and then we caught him fucking us, stealing money from us, and I, of course.
Like can't help themselves. Like it gets to that point where, I'm doing all this work for these guys, and they're not appreciating me enough.
Yeah.
And I should be able to take more and not have.
Well,
to,
they're just not as popular as the band is.
Yep.
So
Right. Well, they're
they've
supposed
got to get
to get. It's a 15% agreement, right? And they get.
But in
that.
their idea, like I agreed to 15%, but I'm doing. You wouldn't have this if it wasn't for me. And therefore now we're 50-50. And
well, with the podcast and the stuff, I've had a lot of people reaching out and like, hey, I'd like to help you grow your channel. If you just pay me this and that, I could take you. And I was like, no, I'll do it organically.
That's be able to resist that temptation.
Yeah.
Of we're gonna be big. No, you just have to be big enough to suffice yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's
if I could just make a living, a comfortable
Yeah.
living, I don't need to be a millionaire.
Right.
I just want to be able to control my own destiny. But the first offer I got was from Giant Records after we had opened up for one of their national acts, and their A&R guy was there at the show and wanted to fly me out to California to work with a team of writers. I was like, I don't need to work with a team of writers. I write my own shit. I got 3. And this is an example of you trying to control and
I'm gonna introduce you to people you
don't
know.
If I'm the sole songwriter, you're not getting some of that money, right? So you want to add another name to it, another name, and now you're watering down my music? No, I didn't want any part of that. But part of that's just my personality. It was like my music to me is, it's like a child almost. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Obviously, you don't love it as much as a child, but it's something you create, and so many artists get railroaded. I mean, we could fill up 10 podcasts talking about the artists that got fucked over. John Fogerty, the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles didn't own their own music back then.
Right. Yeah.
Paul McCartney had to buy it back from fucking Michael Jackson, who screwed him over.
Yeah,
They
that
were
was funny. Like
buddies,
McCartney had the idea, brought it to Jackson, then Jackson
bought the
it up from
Beatles
under,
shit. What a fucking
and
loser,
then laughed
man.
about it.
Yeah, that was some terrible shit. I lost a lot of respect for Michael Jackson because of that. But Paul ended up getting him back. But John Fogerty, same thing happened. He didn't have the rights to his songs, and so when Creedence... So basically, if you don't own the rights to your songs, you basically have to... If you perform them, you got to pay royalties on them. And so he wasn't going to pay to play his own music. And the story goes, George Harrison said, hey, you know what? I get it. I know why you're pissed, but you wrote these songs, and your fans know you wrote these songs, and you need to play these songs for your fans and for yourself. And he did start playing them again, and he got sued once by the copyright owners of copying his own song. Do you hear that story?
No. Mm-mm.
So the people who owned his music sued him for writing a song that sounded like another John Fogerty song. Which any artist is gonna, your brain is wired a certain way.
You can only write so many songs.
Sure.
That's even over the collective. No tune has been, you only have so many tunes on it.
Well, absolutely.
So,
it's just there's an infinite combination of possibilities and
Right.
stuff, but everything's been done. And especially if you're an artist, you're gonna have certain melodies that you like, or certain riffs, or certain things. And so some stuff is gonna be equatable, but he had to go into court and demonstrate. Here's the song they're talking about, and he won the case, but still.
but he still had to pay money to.
But the fact that he's even
He
having
had to do it over his own stuff.
over his own fucking song, and so
the balls of those people.
Oh.
Hey, you sang your own song.
Well, when I started the podcast, I wanted to get my stuff everywhere, right? And I know Nicole's got her stuff on everything. I was like, I'll do that. So I signed up with CD Baby. And they did. They got it on everything. So it kept me from having to do all that stuff. But then I started getting copyright struck on my YouTube channel by CD Baby, who I own the copyright for. And I couldn't get anybody fucking, on the phone. I couldn't communicate with anybody. And it's like every time I'd release something, it was like copyright holder of Minuteman, because every show's got Minuteman in the intro, and so they were striking me on it because
It's your song. But it wasn't Brad Durham's. My dad's a guy.
Right. But it was tied back to the Durham channel that they created, and I couldn't get it. So anyway, I yanked my stuff off it because it was on iTunes, it was on everything, and I just yanked it all. It's like, I'm not going to go down this fucking road where my own stuff's fucking me.
You're having to question your own shit.
You know, it's just, the greed is just so...
Because it's always easier to make a dime off of somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than to create themselves.
Yeah, I'd rather just do it organically. It's like Durham Fest, man. The first Durham Fest we did was, I think we maybe had 100 people, and it was all friends and family. Same with last year, and it's going to be the same with this year. It's like, I don't want any outside. I've had people reach out, but people I don't even know, they're asking to play and do all this stuff, and like, that's great that it's getting big enough, but you know, I don't. You know, there's people already trying to angle and make money off of it, and I think it's more beautiful if it's a community thing and people are doing it because they want to do it, because we know each other, and I think that's a cool thing. And you know, Mill Creek's gonna be badass. Have you ever been out there?
I've been at Mill Creek, but I haven't been to like where you're talking about.
Right.
Or I have, I'm sure, just not. You know,
Dude, it's just fucking wide open.
His
man.
place.
It's gonna be so awesome.
pretty
And
cool.
Rick doesn't care how many people are out there. Like, they're gonna open it up. Obviously been advertising it. Because I didn't want to host it if it got any bigger, and I know Gary, same thing. I mean, it's where you live, you know, and if some shit goes down, and you know,
there's a lot of...
and Rick doesn't live there and doesn't have kids that live there, so I think it's gonna be awesome. They got some electric stuff they got to do before we get out there.
Where are they gonna use this stage? Trailer?
I think we're just gonna play around the porch. He's got a deep porch like Jerry had.
Okay.
Now it's not elevated. Now, James Gibson said he's got a portable stage. We may talk to him a little bit about that.
Yeah, I bet he does.
But also, the guy who does the sound for that big fellowship church up in Rogers is friends with James. He's going to run the sound this year.
Yeah,
he's bringing their gear. So that takes Dad off that, because Dad's good at it, but it still stresses him out.
Yeah, and if he's going to play, like, he need, you know.
Yeah, and he's playing more this year. Last year he played one song. This year he's playing 30 minutes, and so that'll free him up. But it's growing, and it's growing organically, you know. And we'll have some merch, and we'll sell some burgers for people just to recoup money. But like, we're not trying to make money. We're just trying to have something fun. Like, because I don't know if you probably never went to Hannah Fest back in the day, but Jim Hannah started this deal out in Crosses, Arkansas, which is just Four Combs. And that was the greatest. I look forward to it every year. It was back when Adam Peake was playing with us. And Sober would open up for my dad's band. Did you know Adam?
Oh, yeah. For a minute.
But, God, him and Duster, man. But anyway, he loved that shit.
Yeah.
But we would open up for Dad's band every year, and it'd be a big deal. It was just friends and family, and I just loved it. And then they ended up stopping doing it, and I always wanted to do it again. And then in 2023, Walter, it was really weird that Walter has been such a key member of this, because he was the one that was a big fan of our music. And in 2023, he goes, "Dad, you need to do it this year, or you're never going to do it." Because I've been talking about doing it. We've been out here for 8 years at that point. I was like, fine, I'll see if the guys want to do it. And of course, they all said yes immediately. We did it first year, did it last year, and now he's fucking playing drums. You know, it's been wild. And just fucking, that's all he does.
That's really cool. He's really into it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Could be worse things out there.
I know it. But it's just exciting that there's, you know, it's just like with Nicole, there's no competition, you know? And I think that, and now, it's more about how can we each help each other do things, you know? It's an organic thing, and I like that, because I've worked in corporate now for damn near 20 years, and you see that greed. I mean, you guys work in it. It's disgusting, and your soul just a little bit a day. And so if you can find something that's genuine, and people are just doing this because they care and because they love it, and they're not asking to maybe be reimbursed, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to buy a bunch of burgers, we're going to sell them because we want to get our money back. You know, but we got to rent porta potties. We got to rent all this stuff. It costs a lot of money to do this stuff.
When I was a kid, my dad's best friend, he always had a weenie roast in September, October.
Yeah.
And it was bring your own hot dogs if you want them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'll build a fire. One of his other friends had a band, and it was great until but it just got so big that he's like, I can't do it anymore. Like, it's just because, you might invite me, and then I invite Jason, and Jason invites 5 other people, and it just got huge.
Really?
And just to where it wasn't fun anymore.
See, I do worry about that a little bit, but
because there was people there's people you don't know, but when it goes to I look around and I don't know any of these people, it gets pretty crazy. And plus, it's at your house, and you don't know who's coming and going, and
liability is a big thing too. Because I was afraid, if people were going in the house, we made it clear, we don't want anybody in the house. You don't want people going to your kid's bedroom.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want strange kids.
Never know.
Yeah. I mean, but even like that night, kids were on the trampoline. I was like, some kid breaks their arm on a trampoline. I'm gonna get my ass sued for this. Yeah. So we are doing waivers this year. That is free admission.
Yep.
Free admission, but one thing they said is because Rick and Paul have, they have races out there all the time. There's tons of people out there, right? But one thing they're like, don't provide alcohol. If you're the one that provides it, and then something happens, so don't provide alcohol. Have them sign a waiver, and you're good. And I don't think legally. I grew up in the age of the handshake agreement. You shake somebody's hand, that's a done deal, But that's not the world we live in anymore. And so you got to think about that stuff. But I just envisioned something. Because I hated that my kids couldn't come to shows, because you're playing in bars and stuff like that. And that was part of the reason of doing this, is let kids come and see live music. Because I remember my dad had a lot of connections in Fayetteville, so he could get me into places. So I remember seeing bands at a young age and just being like, wow, I've only seen this on MTV. This is a real band playing, it's so cool. And so, to get kids involved at a young age and even up on the stage to do some stuff, it's just it's a cool thing. I hope we can keep it organic and keep the money out of it.
Yep.
It's not some. But also at the same time, you're like, oh, I'd love to do this for a living. I actually got into an argument with a songwriter, a famous songwriter, last week on vacation. He had posted, big song expose and a huge amounts of dollars to join this thing, and I just posted, you cannot teach songwriting.
Mm-mm.
And he comes back and goes, you can. I've been doing it for so many years. And I was like, you might be able to teach your process of how you go about it, but you can't teach somebody.
I think that's why we have so much shitty music out there, where you can repeat the same 5 words 30 times and you got a song, just because you put a little cool beat with it. It's that's not okay.
Well, he kind of got offended, and I said, you can teach the process. But you cannot teach somebody how to pull that melody, that hook, out of the ether and how to write that lyric that connects with it. You cannot teach that. I don't care what you tell me. You can't do it. You either can do it or you can't. You can't teach that.
Right. Well, a lot of it's personal. It's their personal experience.
Yes. Yep. But it's not. I feel like that's a grift. Now, if you're giving guitar lessons, sure, you can teach that.
Yeah. It's a learned skill.
You can teach stuff like that, but as writing, even if you go to I think it's the same thing with writing classes. Like if you're going to learn how to write to be a fiction author, you can teach them how to plot and how to do that stuff, but the ideas.
Well, and that's something that is done as a kid, and I think even limited. You can only teach a kid to have so much imagination. A lot of that I think is provided on their own.
Yeah, it has to be.
And you might be able to to teach a kid how to play, so to speak.
Right.
But you can only do that so much.
Right.
At some point the kid takes over.
You have to develop your own style.
Yeah.
Right? And that takes trial and error. And
I remember growing up, we had a little group of friends, our parents' friends' kids, that we always.
Where'd you grow up?
In Joplin.
Yeah, that's right.
And there was the younger brother of a girl that was the same age of us. I think he was probably 4 or 5 years younger than us. But you could tell his imagination was so far ahead of the rest of us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
now, that dude can play I lost count how many instruments he can play. The dude's a physical specimen. He's an actor. He does all kinds of stuff.
Sounds like he was kind of hot for him. He's physical specimen.
No, he was just. I mean, now, like, as an adult, like, he works out, like, he's, you know, he
getting
takes care of
worse.
himself.
It's
It is getting worse. But no, it's just, like, you could tell at a young age, like, he was, like, mentally
Bounce a quarter off his
ahead
ass.
ahead of the rest of us. It was
Yeah.
just crazy. But you could see him growing up. Like,
Yeah.
that dude's going somewhere.
They got it,
Yep.
whatever it
You
is.
can't teach that. Like, it's just like.
Well, I thought I was going somewhere too until I hit the business part of it.
Yeah.
And I even had I had an opportunity to get a publishing deal with BMI, and I was told your stuff's too variable. Like you're basically your stuff doesn't all sound the same. You've got too many. It's all over the place. I was like, yeah, that's kind of the idea. You don't want to put the same song
Right.
out there. And they're like, well, you know, if you could, you know, go back to the drawing board. Fuck off. Just delete. Like if you're gonna start
they're
controlling that
telling
stuff.
you what they want to.
I'm telling you, these artists, like, I do not envy a Britney Spears or a fucking somebody
No,
who's...
because it's way worse with them.
Oh.
You know it has to be.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah, plus you got to go to Diddy parties. And
oh, man.
I mean, part of me thinks the whole wildfire thing was just to destroy all the evidence of Diddy parties that everybody had. It was so hot it was melting gun
like
safes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. To the degree it burned everything
Yes.
is insane. Like, yeah, there was wind. But you would think, as far as, like, what
The
I would
mayor's
think...
out of town.
Yeah, right. How many times have you lit a fire and the wind just blew it out completely? Like, or it just blows it past it?
Yeah.
You know, like, there's going to be remnants left.
Yes.
Like, there were some of those, like, there was absolutely nothing left.
Yeah.
Metal was melted in a pool. You know, it just, yeah, it was windy. Okay, cool. But there's literally nothing left.
But there's no water in the hydrants.
No.
There's no water in the reserves. There's, like, what?
Yeah.
You knew this was a problem,
Yeah.
and you had zero, like, that's some bad fucking
Infrastructure.
Well, and
infrastructure.
So, and then at that point, it's like, okay, well, who's responsible for that?
Right.
Like, ultimately, that's your job.
Why would that many
You know.
people live there and that kind of, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to make it, you know,
Because,
but honestly though, but even like the North Carolina shit,
Yeah.
you know,
that's
I mean, I don't know. It's just,
but, yeah.
and people worry about us too. Like that, you know, oh, we can get flooded. I don't know. I still don't think we've got that high of a chance, but
Here?
yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean, maybe the low.
You would admit, though, that, like, over the last 2 or 3 years, that the spring rains have been much more, like, heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I've got a driveway, like, it's very, like...
Oh yeah, we just went up it. It fucked.
Yeah.
Man.
Had to break my rock.
There by
collar
Mike's
out.
is fucked.
The first, we had one big flood in we moved out here in 2010. It might have been 2011. Because I remember Mike called me. Mike had gone, him and his son, and his kids were young. I mean, this is, how old are they now? 21, so 10 years ago, 11. So him and his son had gone to get some pizza before it got too bad. And by the time they got back, the bridge was underwater, and his
Yeah.
daughter was home alone. He was
Oh,
like, hey,
shit.
and we were living in this building at the time. He goes, hey, my daughter's home alone, and I think the power was even out. And he goes, can you go down there and get her and bring her up to your house? And so I went down and brought her up with me and Julie and the boys. And I drove down to see where Mike and Hayden were on the other side of the bridge. And the water in the road, I had my dog with me, and the water in the road was moving so fast, my dog gets in it and just starts
Yeah.
floating. And thankfully, he was so close, I was able to grab his collar and pull him out. Well, there's this Jeep that goes around Mike, and they're trying to cross the bridge. And now, keep in mind, the water's only about 2 inches up the bridge.
But fucking roaring.
But when that Jeep got on there, it slammed. I saw it. Slammed it against the rail, and thankfully the rail held.
Jesus.
But these guys had to get out of the passenger seat, climb up on top of
Fuck
it, and
that.
jump back. And it was still
Oh.
there the next day. Thankfully, didn't knock it over. But you can still, if you go as you're heading out and you look at the right side of the railing toward the end, you can see where it hits. But it's like just 2 inches of water.
Is that
moving
house?
that fucking
They
fast?
come up close to that house that's in that field.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
scary.
It flood. There's a house.
I bet Shane's got flooded or close to.
Who?
Shane, our buddy Shane. He just lives not very far down there. Like the
Oh
house
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
closest
yeah,
to the
yeah. I know
river.
this house.
Remember, I
you
think
told-
I showed you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I bet that was up to their house.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Golly. So okay, yeah, back to that. So you're saying that like we're having like more flood, but
I just think it's more intense.
Yeah.
Used to, when I was growing up, spring rains would come and they were more like showers or rain.
Mm-hmm.
These are like violent deluges that just come and just are brutal.
I don't think that it changed. Like, I think that everything changed. I think that like Tornado Alley changed.
Yes.
I think that the whole everything has changed.
There's also the tilt of the Earth.
Right.
You know, the true north has
Right,
changed.
right,
and I think that you've got so many geographic, manipulations,
Yes.
so to speak. And
Well, but then you get the waters muddied because global warming and climate change is such a political, manipulative thing that there's so much misinformation and disinformation. Something's happening.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, and the Earth has its natural cycle anyway.
right. Climate
how
change
much-
is always happening.
How much effect do we have on it?
How much effect do humans have on it?
That's and to think that we could. You have the people like that. They're like, oh, when you say like, that they're manipulating the weather or whatever.
The Jews?
Well, no, you can't do that. But they
Jokes,
those
people.
are the same people that say you can't manipulate the weather are the ones that saying that they can manipulate the weather by taxing us. And it's
Right?
like,
And carbon
okay,
emissions
like,
and all this shit. And
So what are you gonna
I just-
do with that?
how dare you?
Yeah.
As far as the manipulating weather, it's just like I just can't believe that they do that, or if they do, because it's
Like seeding clouds and stuff like
the
that.
leaves.
Well,
or
they
whatever.
absolutely do because like it's a paid service and
But it's just like I just think you're fucking with something that you don't know, like like it's butterfly effect. Like you don't know what.
Well, exactly.
yes,
Like you think you're causing rain in North Carolina, but you could be fucking something plumb
Sure,
up in
yeah.
China, causing tsunamis in China.
Well, that's
and
science.
Just stop fucking with it. You
Yeah.
know, and I even like kind of like with the fracking thing. It's not like I'm against it, but it scares me.
Yeah.
I mean, because all
Sure.
it takes is one.
yeah, right.
And all of a sudden, like, oh fuck, there goes Texas. Like, where the fuck
Then
that
you
go?
it's like Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
You open up a portal to another dimension, and now there's fucking kaiju killing us
Well,
all.
they also said that the plates are thinning. Over there by Jonesboro and into the Mississippi River, that's one of the thinnest spots now. That they're afraid there's a
Jesus.
huge.
Well, that could just drop
Yeah.
the fuck off.
Well,
I mean,
but
yeah,
think
it's like-
about growing up.
Gonna be a new lake there, maybe.
Wash
Like
down.
this, yeah.
Like,
We heard about tornadoes in Oklahoma all the time, but there was never anything in Northwest Arkansas. Touchdown.
Now there is.
And now it's we've
Fort
had
Smith,
three in
remember-
the last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
think.
Well, we had 7 that one night. The
Well-
bad- Rogers still.
Yeah, I'm talking about events,
Bad
but yeah,
ones.
bad
Bad
ones.
ones, yeah.
But like something's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, we're getting close to time. We got to split, so I want to talk about this sports real quick. What's your thought on the Deion Sanders son deal?
Dropping to the. Did he get drafted yet?
Not to
He
my
dropped in the
knowledge.
second round, right?
What do you mean?
Well, so Deion's kid, what's his name, the quarterback?
Shador?
Yeah.
Shorter Sanders.
So he didn't get drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
And
Poor
a lot
kid.
of people raging. What do you think? What's your opinion on that? Is he just
I
not
don't
that
think.
good, or
I don't think people want the publicity.
I don't? Okay.
Anybody dumb enough to get the publicity is.
It's a
You know,
distraction. It's a
Trump
huge
came out and
distraction.
tweeted,
Well, there
this
you go.
guy's a fucking got the genes, and somebody needs to sign him up quick.
And that's
it's like,
enough for me not
Yeah.
to get him.
Well,
I mean,
there's
yeah,
a
it's
re-
like he didn't. I don't think that helps. Like it doesn't.
It doesn't help him.
I don't think it helped
It
him
did,
either.
he didn't need that.
No.
No, but there's a reason he wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
And you think that?
Oh, my God, honest
That's what I'm
opinion.
asking you.
My honest opinion is A, he's not talented enough. B, which is true, he's very talented. But these first 32 teams don't need him.
Right.
Okay? And then B, he's coming with a
lot
fucking
of
sideshow.
baggage.
Like, he is guaranteed to come with the lights and
Yes.
the cameras, and his fucking daddy is, it's bad enough for Travis Hunter. He's like his damn adopted son, basically.
Right.
And he got drafted by the Jaguars. Like I've been in town, I didn't know, but I had to kind of catch
Yeah.
up. But I guess he got drafted by the Jaguars. I was like, Jesus Christ, like.
Yeah. Because I don't watch college ball, so I don't get any of it. But
That's another thing that. Okay, so to that, they were talking about him like they were retiring their jerseys, like Shador and Travis Hunter's jerseys
Oh,
from
really?
Colorado University.
at Colorado, and people are like,
They played there 2 years.
they're saying like there's people that have like like badasses that have not got
no
retired.
yeah.
And then of course I think Deion's whole stance on it is like, no, it's not like we're not retiring from it's just like they started a culture, kind of deal. And I'm like, did they or did you? Like, are you going to retire every
Yeah.
tandem.
We
from
don't have
here on
any
out.
numbers left now.
It's just a weird deal to
what
do.
do you think
in
of
my
him as a
opinion.
coach?
I don't think he's really a coach.
Right.
He's
Is it more of a
he's a personality,
Right.
and he's gonna
he's
go
a cult of personality.
Yeah, he wants. I mean, he's gonna go get you and talk you be on his team.
Yeah.
but he's got coordinators.
Sure.
He's not. I don't think
He's a
would be
salesman.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't think he would be very good at offensive or defensive coordinator.
Right.
Well, I know growing
He can
up.
teach it, I think,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I know growing up the whole time it was the the Sanders show, the me show, but then now you hear all these guys coming out. It's like, this is what Dion did for me, and it's like, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Like, I just don't buy that because he didn't show that anything one iota from what the early '90s or mid '90s when he started playing for the Yankees,
Right.
and it's all the way up to his retirement. It was all about me. I can't imagine him doing something for somebody else.
He
there were no stories of
a
that.
kind of a prima donna character before, and then you look at guys like Terrell Owens and guys that came after that. Like, he kind of set a precedent
absolutely.
for.
Yeah.
And now he was a fucking insanely talented.
Oh, yeah.
very.
Yeah.
He's
I
an
mean-
athlete. Anybody can play baseball. Anybody can play Major League Baseball and football.
Yeah.
I mean, any of the people. That
But
do
it's
that.
not like he was just great in college. Like, he was great in the NFL.
yeah, absolutely.
Like, he played both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Throw him out a wide receiver, throw him out as a D-back.
Very
I
talented.
mean, just insane. But then, like you said, is he a coach or is he a salesman to recruit?
Yeah, I just
Right.
think he's a
'Cause very-
personality.
Very rarely is a good player a good coach
Yeah.
because you can't teach talent.
But-
that's the
With that, again, like
Yeah,
songwriting.
again,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't teach
talent.
that shit.
But I honestly think though that works. Like it because just
yeah,
like
it made yeah.
because I mean, look at Nick Saban. I mean, Nick Saban, yeah, he's more defensive minded, but that dude always had coordinators. He always, and he was the head coach, and they're the coordinators,
Yeah.
Right.
and they fucked up.
Because you have to have that personality to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right.
and it Lane Kiffin fucked up, he'd be in his ass.
Right.
I mean, just
But Saban had a vision of
Yes.
kind of what kind of offense and defense he wanted,
Yes.
so he had guys that would
Yep.
execute that kind of plan.
but he was willing to adapt though.
Yeah.
And he did.
Well, you can't be successful that long
The
without
only thing he didn't want to adapt to is that NIL shit though.
the what,
The NIL.
which
Paying
is
The NIL. Well, now that they're getting paid for their
Now that
name,
everybody's
image,
allowed to pay
the
them.
whole yeah.
and there's
Chris
a
Yeah,
lot
Paul's
of
well, that
idea.
is kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that. How do you feel
well,
about that?
so there's a lot of speculatives why he doesn't like it. A lot of people think, oh, well, it put everybody on the same playing field. Now you don't like it, like that he was doing it. Now no one could prove it. And
Sure.
I think that if he did it, it'd be there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's been dug on. Don't tell me Auburn University
yeah.
didn't dig on that shit for every
Right.
single fucking year.
Right.
Every team in the SEC would have been.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he's just so old school that it finally. I think that Twitter was a big thing that he wasn't a Twitter guy really.
You talking about Saban right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he didn't agree with how they handled the NIL.
Yeah.
And I think he was. I mean, there was nothing else to prove with him, but
No.
but still, yeah, that's.
What are your thoughts on the NIL?
I think it was handled like Oklahoma handled the medical marijuana. They just let it go.
Just
like
crazy,
they just
yeah.
wild
What does NIL
west.
stand for? What is the
Name, image, likeness.
Name is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
I mean,
that,
don't you think they should be compensated to an extent, though?
I think in my opinion, if you're going to put them on a TV or you're going to put them on a
video
Madden game, whatever, I mean, NCAA or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's going to have their name on there, absolutely, they should get some.
I agree. However, they're getting paid a full ride.
I just and I think we've talked about that too, obviously, but college is already so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And most of these kids aren't even, especially if you're really good, they're not even going the full time. I just
No.
think you're already getting paid. I mean, literally, it's like $10,000 a fucking semester to go to the UVA.
Is that it?
Yeah. So I'm
Gotta
saying
be
like
higher than that.
right, it could be
Yeah.
more now, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying like you're already getting that.
A huge amount of compensation that
Yes.
other kids are having to actually go to class
Right.
Yeah.
and do the grades
and
Yeah.
get student loans
And I think-
that they're
and I think-
buried
Right.
for life.
For life, I'm still paying them.
And I think you would find out that a lot of those that don't even play sports are supplementing the sports
Absolutely.
programs. But meanwhile, you've got to,
Yeah.
after you're done in school, you got to pay back these loans that you got because you had to support the, men's and women's doubles tennis team.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one. The thing about being able to transfer and all that stuff, I think, is what pisses a lot of people
Yeah,
off.
no, that's a different thing. As far as
That is a different thing.
Yeah.
Well, but it kind of
portal.
ties into it.
It does.
It does tie in.
If I'm, and we talked about this the other day. It's like if I'm at college and I've got to pay for your jerseys to be made to be sold in the store down the street, on MLK, and then next year you transfer out, who's going to buy those jerseys? Nobody's going to wear that.
Yeah.
You don't go to school.
Somebody
here
has
anymore.
paid for merchandise. It's
Yeah.
no longer. It's just going to be.
I think at some point, and I don't know if it's like this at every,
And who's going to buy that?
Well, yeah, and without the fans,
Yeah.
Send it to Africa with the losing Super Bowl.
right.
I always love that to see that, like when I see the Chiefs on the little, well, that's cute. Anyways, but anyways, at some point, like, I would think though that the fans, I mean, they do it all for the fans. They say, right? I mean, it's for the it's
Allegedly,
for
yeah.
right.
If it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't have a team.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I always say that.
At some point, and I know I'm already there. At some point, these like colleges like the U of A, like if they're already gonna like, hey, join our initiative, and it's $25 a month, but you get this and this. I mean, that's doesn't have to do anything with the tickets, but all the stuff, But it's like if you're gonna be putting things like that out there to where people are gonna start people that are already poor are funding rich people. There's got to be some sort of,
Yeah.
because one, and not everybody can win a championship.
No.
So you can't promise that shit to everybody, right? Can't, not everybody gets participation. But things like, and this is my personal opinion, but now they've done a lot of things in the football stadium, but like Bud Walton Arena. Apparently we're a basketball school. Boy, we've had the same seats in that arena since 1993. It's like,
Is that right?
Yeah,
Those are the
they've
original
never
seats?
replaced the original seats.
Are they
It's like,
bad though?
they're old as hell.
But are they like?
That's 30 something years old.
Yeah, but is there a problem with them?
They're too. I mean, I think you could relay it out. Probably put more.
Yeah.
Now,
You can type it into
update-
AI and put more seats in there.
just update the son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Just update it. It's
Speaking of what do you think of the Theo Von show?
man. The first two guys were they were okay.
I thought the first guy was decent. The second guy, I did not have.
He was a little
with.
too much, and he was the one that kept pimping the he was coming to grow, and I'm like, yeah, well, I don't think you're gonna get many people from it.
No.
But
Theo himself
is just not even a human being or something. I don't know.
We've always talked about you and I,
the
like, is it an
authenticity of it.
act
Yeah.
or is it? I think it absolutely is an act. Now,
Yeah.
He was too smart and
He's
too
just
quick.
way too clever on the things,
I think. No, I do really think that. I mean, I think that's his real voice, and I think he plays the clown.
Yeah.
Plays himself to be a dumb,
Right.
dumber than he really is, and it works for him.
Right.
But after seeing that, it convinced me 100%
Yeah.
this dude's a
I
comic
agree.
genius. Like,
One of the greatest I haven't seen like a ton of comedians, but one of the greatest I've ever seen.
100%.
Like,
you don't
just-
luck yourself into
No.
that. You
just
have
the
to have
way
an ability.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way he talks, and I think he improvs a lot of stories on his podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like talking about how.
See, sorry.
No, finish.
I was gonna say, I think he has like the callers and things. I think some of that shit's staged.
The what?
Like the callers, the call in.
Oh, that call in.
Just to get like that one that's like, yeah, Theo, me and my wife, we experimented with a woman, finds out she likes women, and we experimented with a man, finds out I like men. Have you seen that?
Huh.
And he's like, well, man, y'all gay. It's just like, but he's not even like laughing,
No,
like just
he
like
just
didn't shock him
Well,
at all,
It's so. I sent you that, didn't I? Like that's what I thought. It's just like the shit, Oh,
Yeah. Well,
he is a funny ass dude.
the funniest. I think this was. I don't know if this was in a special or a podcast. I think it was a. I'm almost sure it was one of the podcasts he did with Shane Gillis,
Yeah.
where he was talking about how they had class pets.
Yeah.
And everybody, they had all these pets in the classroom, so everybody could go get a class pet and have it at their desk. Had like a gerbil and a turtle, and they had a goldfish. And so one of the kids went and got the goldfish, and everybody was like, "You got to dip that bitch." You know, you can't just have it out all day. And so this kid gets the goldfish out, and everybody's looking over there, and man, you got to dip that bitch. And just like, there's no fucking way that happened. There's no way on earth that happened.
Yeah.
But like the way he told it was so
Yeah.
convincing, and it like just so, and it.
Or do you think he's kind of like you have that childhood, like, you hear something and you kind of twist it a little.
Like
You know
like
what I
a
mean?
tall tale.
Yeah, like he kind of just like adds
makes it
to
into
it.
funny.
Adds to a
Makes it
story
into
that's,
funny.
kind of
Well,
relative.
there is something to that. I don't know how much you were ever around my grandpa Don that used to take pictures at school, you know.
Never, yeah.
But like,
Isn't that where we went swimming?
yeah,
Yeah.
overnight, yeah.
Mm.
But when I was little, you'd hear these stories, and then as you got older, you'd hear him telling these same stories year after year after year. The deer got bigger, the distance got longer.
Like the movie Big Fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
do too.
It's a masterpiece.
I love that movie.
It's one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, I love it movie too.
Yeah.
Oh, we showed that to the kids not too long ago. But then it turned out, though, at the end, a lot of stories were actually
Yeah,
were true.
it's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's kind of like an art of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You're not lying. You're just trying to entertain.
Right,
And to
right.
keep you entertained,
Right.
you get it a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
a little
you get
bit
it
bigger.
buttered up a little bit, or
Yeah.
or change to the audience.
Yeah.
the story to the audience.
Like it went from a 4-foot rattlesnake to a fucking anaconda that had him wrapped up. It's
Right.
like, but I think that's all. I think that's an art form.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
he was, because even although I'd heard these stories 100 times, I was always captivated, and he was charming. You know, he could sell it, and he just told this like this was what happened, and people listened to that, and I really learned a lot from his level of storytelling, even though half of it was probably bullshit. But it was still
But it's about
entertaining, and it was
entertaining,
rooted
yeah.
in truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But fellas, we got a game to get to. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, we'll do it again. Thank you guys for watching episode 95. Stilwell, thanks for coming on again, brother. Congrats on the sobriety. Are you gonna keep this going?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.